Hello everyone, it's the Canadian Futures Trader here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the video.
Gotta get more followers.
If you have not already, be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications, get notified every time I put out a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over several Ultrabond trades that I've made over the last week or so. I'm going to warn you up front and in advance, there is absolutely nothing exciting in this video. There is a couple of small winners and a couple of break-evens, but I will walk you through my thought process, kind of armchair quarterback the trades well after the fact. Several things that I point out that I wish I had done in the moment that I didn't. Could have locked in several extra ticks in several situations, so some good valuable lessons for myself, and hey, maybe you guys can enjoy as well my thought process on these trades. And so with that, let's get to some Ultrabond trading. Okay, so we're going to start off with a trade where we go short here for 4 contracts. The market had basically just been trending back and forth in this range, so fully expecting it to go down. You see there it pops almost immediately down 2 ticks. I haven't even put in a take profit at this point. I just did there just to get something on the books, get ahead of the queue. I'm watching these trades after the fact, and I recorded these last week, so I'm kind of armchair quarterbacking these. So I move my stop loss down. At this point, it's 3 ticks to the good. I immediately move my stop to break even. There's no reason we should be losing on this. Even if it popped back, that would be a shame. I believe this one works out okay. I honestly don't love the way that I manage this trade, just because at this point, I could be getting out for 3 tick winner, and at 4 contracts, that's $375. I was moving my take profit down, being a little bit greedy, hoping for a little bit more of a rush. Didn't happen, so now moving my take profit back up and saying, oops, I goofed that up. Come on, just push this down, and if we can get a fill here, that would be four ticks. So the options right now are we're either it's going to come against us and we'll get 1 tick winner, or it'll pop down and we'll get a 4 tick winner. Now again, you saw right there, I got greedy. It looked like it was going to fill at this price, so I moved it down, and I would have got filled right there and got a 4 tick winner, so keep that in mind. So at this point, again, I'm just being greedy instead of like going for the quick kill. This trade has been, 30 seconds at this point, maybe a minute. Could have been a nice winner instead. I took that off the table, so could have had 4 or 5 ticks. At this point, I moved my stop loss to 2 ticks, so I know I'm getting a minimum of 2, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong. But at this point, we're stuck right in the middle of this, my stop and my take profit. It could really go either way. Honestly, again, watching this after the fact, I really wish I had just taken this, just take the 3 ticks. Again, that's $375, not a bad day at the office. Instead, though, it pops back up on me some point here, and we end up with only 2 ticks. So a trade that we could have got 4 or 5 ticks out of ends up only being a 2-tick winner. It's a win, but it's not, I'd say it's a bad win. It could have been managed a little bit better. At any point here, I could be getting out and taking 3 ticks. I'm seeing all the buying here. I'm getting ready. It looks like I'm getting ready to move my stop right here. And actually, maybe I do get out for 3 ticks. Okay, oh, there we did. So I popped it down. I got filled. And there we go. So we did get a 3-tick winner. Not quite as bad as I thought, but still, it's a judgment call. Of course, you always wish you could have squeezed every last bit of juice out of it, but I'd say based on the initial setup, we got what we wanted out of it. It looked like it was getting ready to bust down. As you see here, it's right in the middle of this histogram. This is essentially your volume profile. The market's just been going back and forth, and that's essentially what my play was this day, was just trying to play from the highs and the lows back to the middle. So this next trade is almost identical to the previous one. Same concept, playing this rate. It's the same day. It's probably just about 15 minutes later. The price had moved up a little bit. Now we were looking for it to go short again and get right back into the middle of this range. It's almost an identical trade to before. This one ends up just being a break even. I'll actually probably skip ahead because it takes a while to play out. So let me skip ahead. So at this point, we are essentially 1 tick to the good. I very quickly, at some point here, and I have a tighter take profit this time, and I'm not monkeying with it this time. I'm just going to let it come down and fill me if I can get that price. So here I'm moving my stop. I moved it down 1 tick. I think about it for a sec. I move it down again. So break even. Again, I've kind of lost faith a little bit in this trade. It didn't push down as rapidly as the previous one. I know I'm breaking even at worst on this trade, and that's okay. That's with the treasuries. That's part of why I trade them, is because they move in a way that you have time to get out for break even. They don't typically just fly against you. Not to say they can't, but sometimes you have this luxury of being able to just take the break even, you pay the commissions, and you live to trade your next trade. And that's what happens here. In a second, it will pop up and take me out. So right now it's either break even right here, or it's get a 3-tick winner. Honestly, probably could have moved this up and just tried to get anything. Could even try to get filled for 1 tick. Again, it's after the fact. Hindsight's 2020. I probably would have played this a little bit differently. Could have grabbed 1 tick there. But on the flip side, we know that we're not losing anything. So, and right there we got filled. So that was a break-even trade. Just wanted to show that don't always work out according to plan. Okay, this next trade, completely different date, several days later. Again, Ultrabond. I'm going long here for 4 contracts. For a little bit of context, it had been ebbing and flowing again a little bit. It had gone up and been pushed down. Looked like the sellers were kind of tired, expecting a bit of a bounce back. As you see here, I take profits at 2 ticks currently. I have great queue position, so there's currently 138 contracts, right? Or sorry, 135. I think it just changed. Sitting at the sell, but I'm in queue position 65, so I could get a nice fill there. That's why I'm not moving my take profit really too much. I have a pretty big stop loss. This is more of a catastrophic, if it really flies down, at least I don't lose everything type of stop loss, but really expecting to see this push up. Looking for a quick win on this one, quite honestly. And this is very kind of typical of how I would trade the treasuries. Try to grab 2 or 3 ticks and then move on to the next trade. So right now we're basically just back to even. This trade actually ends up taking about 5 minutes to play out. It just kind of hovers right in this range. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So I fast forwarded about 3 minutes or so. As you see right now, it's up here. I have my take profit set at 3 ticks. Now they're hitting this, but I'm still stuck in the queue. I'm in 55th position. I'm basically at the back of the queue right now. And only a few contracts have traded here, so I'm not filled quite yet. And it actually doesn't happen here. I'm sitting here and you're just hoping. You're like, come on, somebody buy this up, but they don't. They actually bring it down a tick. That's okay. Still had every inclination that this was going to go up. You see, I didn't talk much about over here though, but you see these are the 10 years here. They're pushing up still. You're seeing the 5-year. They're coming up and hitting that. So wasn't too worried. Really expected this to kind of continue to bounce up. And I'm not moving my take profit whatsoever. I like where it's at. You've got big volume sitting right above me. So if I was to move this up, I'm going to be at the back of this queue. I'm going to be in 304th position. So a lot of contracts will have to trade. Now they add and subtract, the algos do. So this would probably go down, but I don't want to subject myself to that, especially when I have a decent queue position here. Let's take the 3-tick winner if we can get it. So I'm just kind of letting this play, just sitting and waiting. You're seeing them add. Now there's a bit of a wall there. They pop as soon as they popped it up, you saw those disappear. It's all just algos trying to get the jump on the market. As soon as there was a push up, they disappear. They don't want any of that action. And now we're sitting right back here. We just need some contracts to trade. We're 52nd in the queue. It's down to 63 now. You saw 9 just pull away. Again, they're playing their games, adding, subtracting. I'm just sitting pretty. I'm just sitting on my hands, just waiting for this to fill. And you see here, I'm hovering my arrow. Now I'm 18th in the queue. They're pulling their orders. I'm 17. I'm 16. No contracts are trading. It's just people pulling their orders. And you'll actually see it pop here in a second. I think it pops up and even goes 1 more tick higher. So there we go. I got filled, so I got my 3 ticks. And immediately that wall disappears, and you see them up here now. So lots of little games being played, but that's okay. We got what we wanted out of this trade, so nice 3-tick winner. Okay, and so for this final trade, again, the Ultra Bonds. So I put in a limit order here to get filled. You can see these numbers. I mean, if you know Jigsaw, they basically just marched this and completely down. Sellers seem to have run out of gas again, looking for this to turn around, get a little bit of a pullback. I get filled there, so I'm filled at 15 for 4 contracts. So at this point, I've just put in kind of my usual emergency stop. I'm trying to hide behind this big order in case they did pound it down in a flash. I might get some protection there. I might bounce off it and come back up. Seen it happen. Doesn't always work. Sometimes these guys disappear. So I would say at this trade, honestly, I didn't love it. Once I was in it, I automatically didn't love it. You can see here the sellers are pounding the 5 and the 10. Not a great sign. Honestly, at this exact moment, was probably considering just flatting, taking the 1 tick loss. But I did not. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just because this trade does take it takes about 10 minutes to fully play itself out. So we're several minutes into this trade, and it looks like not much has happened, and it hasn't. It's just hung out in this little area here. What was interesting and why I didn't just get out of this trade is that even though the sellers were hitting this 10-year and the 5-year pretty hard, the more they hit it, you had reload buyers. So you definitely had some protection here. And again, the treasuries tend to move more or less lockstep. So eventually the sellers are going to get, well, one of two things will happen. The sellers will either get tired of trying to pound this and give up, or they'll run out of buyers and it will actually move down. But I'm just seeing every time the sellers pile on, more contracts just keep getting added to the bid. So as of right now, looks like we're safe. Same thing is happening here in the 30-year. I mean, you had 765 trade, and you're just having people pile on. It's kind of fluctuating, but they're adding on to there and protecting it. You just had more trade, and you see immediately it was back up. They're popped down, back up. So same thing here. You're seeing them. They actually finally cleared that level out, but guess what? 700, 800, 1200 just pop right back in. So there's definitely a lot of protection right at this kind of price level. Again, I mean, we're in the Ultrabond, but they do tend to move in a coordinated method. So that gives me hope that there is going to be a point here where the sellers just get tired of this and give up, and the buyers can push this up a little bit. And the Ultrabond, being the kind of the most mobile of the treasuries, will be the one that runs 3 ticks in a second. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised I didn't set a take profit at this point. Like, let's just try to grab 2 ticks and be done. Again, armchair quarterbacking my own trades. But that's another good reason to rewatch these. If anything, it's nice to share, and it's good for me to rewatch them and go, okay, well, I wish I had done this different on this trade. So I'm going to fast forward again a little bit just because, again, it just kind of stalls for a few minutes. So at this point, I moved my stop loss up a little bit closer. I really didn't want this to just completely turn around, and we're not having a lot of faith that this is going to do what I wanted it to do. Even though, like, all the signs, what I just said still holds true, I mean, it's just not moving, and really for scalping, I'm looking to get what I want out of the trade fairly quickly. Staying in a trade for 15, 20 minutes isn't exactly what I'm after. I did finally set a take profit just in case it did fly up, tap this, we might be able to get filled, but not having a lot of hope. And you see here, I eventually moved my stop loss up to break even. At this point, I've pretty much given up on this trade. I'm like, hey, if it takes me out, it takes me out. We don't lose anything. Or, hey, maybe we get lucky and it pops up. So, but basically at this point, even if it popped up like a tick or two, I was going to be moving my stop up. We're going to squeeze anything we could out of this trade. But you'll see here shortly, it actually just pops down, and there you go. I get taken out of the trade. So that is basically it, guys. I know not the most exciting trades, but I kind of wanted to share a little bit more of what it's like trading the treasuries. They're not all big, 10-tick winners. Realistically, you end up just eating it and breaking even a lot of times. You take a few smaller tick, like a 1-tick, a 2-tick loser, and you grab the 2-3 ticks when you can, and if occasionally you do get the big 5-tick, 10-tick runs that really go in your favor. So there you go. Little overview into my world of trading the treasuries. All that is exciting on my depth of market screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.